Sometimes the people we trust most leave behind secrets that rewrite everything. Welcome to Lineage of Lies. I'm your host. Today's story begins with 3 words from a bank manager that shattered a 26-year marriage. Please subscribe, like, and drop your city in the comments. My name is Carol. I'm 53. For 26 years, I was married to Richard, a quiet logistics coordinator who brought me coffee on Saturdays and argued with me for 3 days over a broken washing machine because money was always tight. He taught me to make sourdough in 2018, flour everywhere, laughing at the mess. That was the foundation of our life together. Modest, careful, restrained. When Richard died of a heart attack 14 months ago, he left me the house, a small life insurance payout, and an $18,000 401k. That was the estate of Richard Whitmore, as I understood it. Then I found the envelope. I was clearing his office closet, looking for the house deed. My hand touched a manila envelope shoved flat against the back wall. Inside, a single bank statement from First Meridian Private Bank in Chicago. Account holder, R.A. Whitmore. Balance, $33,241,780.04. I sat on the closet floor for a very long time. The man who argued with me about repairing a washing machine had $33 million hidden in Chicago. I called the number on the statement. A composed voice answered, First Meridian Private Bank, this is Gerald Bloom. I told him who I was. There was a careful pause. Then he said 3 words that rearranged my entire life. He left instructions. He confirmed the account existed, but I'd need to come to Chicago with a death certificate and marriage license to learn more. He said nothing about what those instructions were. I didn't sleep that night. I thought about the washing machine. The vacations we never took. My mother's hip surgery in 2017, we scraped together $4,000 from savings while I cried in a hospital parking lot, and he held my hand and said, we'll figure it out. All that time, $33 million. By morning, I made 3 decisions. 1. Tell no one, not my sister, not my neighbor, and certainly not Richard's sister Patricia, whose weekly check-in calls now sounded like surveillance. 2. Get an attorney who specialized in hidden assets. 3. Go to Chicago, but never alone. The attorney was Margaret Osei. Sharp, Ghanaian American, glasses she took off right before saying something important. I laid the statement on her desk. She listened without interrupting. Mrs. Whitmore, she said, you were right not to tell anyone. And you were right to come here first. She explained that as Richard's surviving spouse, I had rights to a share of his estate, even if I'd been excluded. She filed inquiries that day, procedural moves that would quietly alert anyone guarding that account that I knew. The calls started immediately. Patricia left voicemails full of sudden warmth. Doug sends his love, she said. She'd never mentioned Doug's love in 14 months. I wrote that down. I drove to Chicago alone. Gerald Bloom met me in a quiet conference room. He placed a folder on the table. The account was held under a revocable living trust called the Raw Family Trust, created in 2003, 4 years into our marriage. The beneficiaries, Patricia, 60%. Her husband Doug, 40%. I wasn't mentioned anywhere. Then Bloom placed a second document in front of me. A 2018 amendment, handwritten by Richard, dated 2 weeks after my mother's surgery. It read, in the event my wife Carol becomes aware of this trust, full disclosure is to be made to her, and she is to be provided with independent legal counsel at the trust's expense. I believe she will know what to do. He'd left me a door. Margaret filed a probate challenge the following week. By Friday, Doug Hayes called, voice sharp. What you're doing is going to expose things Richard specifically didn't want exposed. Things about where that money came from. Your reputation. Speak with my attorney, I said, and hung up. My hands weren't shaking. I filed that away as new information about myself. They came to my house that Tuesday evening. Patricia in the coat from Richard's funeral. Doug in a sport coat. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. This is going to be terrible for everyone who loved him, Patricia said. Doug added, some of Richard's business arrangements were complex. You're dragging his memory through court. Are you suggesting the money was obtained illegally? I asked. Doug blinked. That question hadn't been in the script. Speak with my attorney. I closed the door. Through it, I heard Doug mutter, we have to call Ferris. Ferris. A name I'd never heard. I wrote it down. Margaret later discovered it was the partner at a Scottsdale law firm that had drafted the trust, Hardcastle and Ferris LLC. 10 days later, a certified letter arrived offering me $750,000 to walk away. That was 2.27% of the account. An offer designed to see what kind of woman I was. I called Margaret. Decline. We'll see them in court. Patricia came alone in December, carrying shortbread cookies Richard had loved. She sat at my kitchen table and told childhood stories. Then her teacup set down differently. Richard was complicated. He had family considerations. This court process will change how you remember him. Is that worth it, for money? I looked at her. When my mother needed surgery, I cried in a parking lot while your brother had $33 million. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because what was done was wrong. And because Richard himself left me a door. She left the shortbread. I sat on the stairs, back against the wall, and shook from the effort of holding steady that long. Then something else came, clean and hard. I was not going to back down. The hearing was in February. Margaret had obtained financial records showing the trust was initially funded with $40,000 from our joint checking account, withdrawn while I was out of town. For 2 decades, Richard had been diverting income, reporting only a fraction to our household. The money was marital property, systematically concealed. The judge, a precise woman named Denise Fogarty, read the transfer records. She asked the other side directly about the source of funds. Their confident arguments crumbled. Doug Hayes stared at the table. Patricia pressed her lips thin. The ruling came 12 days later. 23 pages. The court found the trust was funded with marital assets without my knowledge. I was entitled to an elective share, $16.9 million. Over 4 months, Hardcastle and Ferris offered settlements. $11 million. I declined. $13 million. I declined. 15. Margaret called me. This is a meaningful number, Carol. Margaret, what does the ruling say? 16.9. Then I want 16.9. I could hear her smile. Final settlement in June, $16.85 million. Patricia and Doug kept roughly $16 million, minus nearly $900,000 in their own legal fees. Their Scottsdale house sold. Patricia moved away. I felt no satisfaction, just the clean distance of a door properly closed. The first thing I bought was a washing machine. Not because I needed one. Because I wanted to stand in a Home Depot and choose the best one without looking at the price. The relief was indescribable. I created a small foundation covering medical costs for families who can't afford surgery, named for my mother. I traveled with my sister. I kept teaching. I built a life that wasn't defined by restraint. Richard, I still think about him. The liar and the man who left me a door exist together with the man who brought me coffee on Saturday mornings, the man covered in flour teaching me to knead dough. Marriage is a living record, and mine contained more deception and more love than I ever knew. The oak tree he planted our first year is very tall now. I put a bench beneath it. Some mornings I sit there, and I think, the woman who found that envelope did all right. Thank you for listening to Lineage of Lies. If this story moved you, please subscribe and share. Secrets hide in bloodlines, but the truth always finds a door.